Yeah, we're ready. WinCam, Taylor, you ready? Let us know whenever you're ready. Okay, thank you. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Winchester Board of Selectmen. Today is Monday, March 20th. I'm Lance Grensbeck. I serve as chair of the board. With me tonight are my colleagues on my right, Mike Betancourt, Jim Whitehead, our town managers, Richard Howard, Steve Powers, and David Arico. So I welcome all of you. Our next meetings will be after the town election, so that would remind everyone that there is a town election coming up on Tuesday, March 28th. We get that right. And I believe the polls are open for many hours, from 7, I believe, to 8 p.m. So if the weather is cold, you can come late in the day. If it's nice and warm, you can go early in the day and enjoy it. So we hope that everyone will, in fact, turn out. If you have any questions about the location of your voting places, please check with the town clerk. There's information posted on the town website. I believe there's a mailer that's gone out to every household, every registered household voter in the town, with a map and information and instructions. If you'd like to see a copy of the actual ballot form so you can figure out ahead of time who's running for what office, there's also samples of those available on the website, I believe, as well as in the town clerk's office. And they are also posted on the bulletin boards here. So with that, the other thing, I think many of us attended the Winchester League of Women Voters Candidates Day at the Races, a presentation. All 7 of the candidates for all the contested offices were there. All gave very coherent, very well-informed presentations, including our very own Mr. Powers. So it was a very well-attended event, and I think that most of us in the audience, I very much enjoyed being in the audience this time instead of on stage. So I'm not sure Steve enjoyed it that much, but I think all of us thought it was a very, very well done and very informative event. So we thank the league and thank all of the candidates who are standing for election this year. If you haven't already noticed, work is well underway on the Mount Vernon Bridge to install another culvert, part of the flood mitigation program. If you haven't noticed it, you will discover as you turn onto Mount Vernon Street that it is one way going from the town center east up toward the Washington Street intersection. So please plan accordingly and don't look too surprised when you wind up there. There was, until the other day, a very large snowbank prohibiting you from driving there. I think the DPW has removed that, so things like that. The other thing that I will flag for you is that we are holding a public information session at the Vincent Owen School on April 6th, which is a Thursday. It'll be starting at 7 p.m. And the purpose of that meeting is to update people who live in the vicinity of the Johnson and Ridge Street intersection on our plans to install temporary traffic signals in that area. We have a grant into the state, which we will likely, I think is in the process, it's been awarded or will be awarded fully, details that will install a set of permanent lights there, but it's going to take at least a year, perhaps 2 years, to get to all the detailed design and reconstruction, because they're doing not only the lights, but they're reconfiguring the intersection, and they will also be putting in some sidewalks. So in the interim, we are planning on putting up some temporary lights so that intersection is safer for both people traveling through in their cars as well as students and others who are crossing there at the intersection. So that will be again, at April 6th at 7 p.m. at the VO school. I think Mrs. Mullen has told me we've mailed out about 175 notices to people in the vicinity, covering both precincts 6 and 7. So if anyone says they didn't hear about it, please let your neighbors know and know that they're invited to that meeting. So, okay. Other than that, the board will reconvene on April 3rd. That's a Monday, as well as on April 10th. Those will be regular sessions. We have a fairly full docket agenda for each evening. We will then meet on April 24th, which is a Monday. We will be meeting very briefly from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Winchester High School, because that's the first night of town meeting. So the first meeting of Winchester Town Meeting is at 7:30 on Monday, April 24th. So please note that in your calendars. We will probably be meeting Monday and Thursday after that. All financial matters will be taken up on Monday, May 1st, and then it will be the discretion of the moderator as to how many articles are covered, how quickly, whether we meet after that. So that will be the schedule. So Tuesday, March 28th, election. April 3rd, a regular board meeting. April 6th, the Johnson Ridge briefing. April 10th, the regular board meeting, and then April 24th, the beginning of town meeting. So that concludes my comments. If others have other comments they'd like to make, announcements. Steve?
Just, I want to ask the public to vote. You have a lot of candidates. I think that's a good thing for the town. So for the candidates, the good thing is it's 7 days and a wake-up. That's how long it is at this point. But use your democracy and vote. I think that's good for everybody. Thank you.
Other announcements, issues want to bring up? Okay. So that finishes the board's comments. Mr. Howard, you had a couple areas you wanted to cover?
Yep, we do have a couple of late-breaking comments that have come in kind of in the last minute. I apologize for that, but we put them before you for some consideration by the board. As you know, as Lance has referenced, we have several construction projects that are going on right in and around Town Hall and the parking lot across from us, and obviously that impacts the Jenks Center as well. A little bit of snowfall also impinges on available parking space. But as a result of that, we've gotten a handful of more comments about the limitation of parking for Jenks events for those participants who may be coming a little bit later in the morning. And what they have asked is that the board consider that for those 26 or so spaces, and if you refer to your map that's been attached to the memo that I have, it's the series of spaces that are up top on the lot, on top of the hatched golden spaces, which are set aside for permit activity. The 26 are really 3 hours. You previously had restricted them to no parking before 9 o'clock in the morning in 3 hours. What those participants at the Jenks are now asking is that we restrict them for Jenks activities only. I think it's an unusual request. We've never had parking that is specifically carved out for one constituency group. You know, there's always been an effort to either maximize the time potential that users are there and restrict so that you can get some preferential participation by one constituency or another. But I think in this case, considering that we have people kind of flying in from all different directions, you know, trying to get the available spaces that are there, there's, you know, in many cases, a little left over for those Jenks participants who are coming sometime after the rush hour. So the request would be, at least for the time being, to consider making it Jenks exclusive only. And if you were to do that, then I would work with Mr. Gill's department and put up the appropriate signage, and we would continue that effort with Sergeant Tom Grew and the parking warden commissioners to make sure that there was observance of that restriction if you were to so put it in place. But I can take any questions on it, but I think you get the general lay of the land. You took the topic up less than a month ago and made the change to the no parking before 9 a.m. So hasn't seemed to have done the trick, is what we're being told.
Yeah, so in talking with the town manager earlier, I think the intent would be to put a sign that says Jenks parking only on a wood stake and hammer it into hammer a stake in front of each parking lot.
Yep.
It'll be a little bit unsightly, but it'll be temporary, and the intent would be for it to be in place until the beginning of the summer when the school
We
parking.
get past some of this construction activity.
Past some, yeah, the Mount Vernon construction will begin to taper off. We'll get back some of the spaces on the street. And I expect, unless they tell us otherwise, that the high school parking lot will be finished sometime in late summer,
Yep.
early fall, and that will provide a lot of the students. But
And seniors graduate in early May, so that also helps alleviate some of the high school traffic as
we've
well.
been getting lots of complaints from Jenks Center that both students and contractors are parking there willy-nilly, ignoring the signs, and so
Yeah, I think it makes
I
sense.
ignored that. There was a car out there with its, flashing lights
Saw it the other day, yeah.
in the employee parking lot that was clearly not stickered for the employee lot, so.
Everybody's doing the best they can. It's a
Now,
difficult
are
arrangement.
we legally obligated to give them 26
I think
parking
so.
spaces? I think we are,
That's
aren't
part
we?
of the lease, part of
Is that part of the lease?
the arrangement with the town, so I don't see.
Yeah, and I think the way it has worked, when there hasn't been a crunch on the space, is that the
Just
designation of the
allow them to
3
be-
hours, it happened naturally, but it's not happening as naturally now, so.
So in reality, we're formalizing what they
What they
already
are.
have.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
so.
Well, or at least, if this is a temporary application, we could come back in the summer or the fall and
And
rethink,
revisit it, sure.
revisit how much and how we're allocating and do that. I think that probably is overdue at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So then, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we designate the 26 spaces closest to the Jenks Center for Jenks use, have posted for Jenks use only
Second,
Okay, on a temporary basis.
on a temporary basis to be reviewed after the completion of construction.
Okay,
second.
seconded. Okay, further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nays, ayes have it.
Thank you. The second item also deals with one of our projects. As you know, the construction of the Skilling's culvert and the soil mitigation program that is at Skilling's Field comes right up against some of the private residential owners, and in one case, there's an encroachment that is being corrected as part of the entire program that we've laid out with DEP. As part of all that, we're proposing that we take some steps that will happen at the end of the remediation program, and that is to install a new fence and do some wash down if that's required or necessary, repair driveway work. So this document that has come in from council is the product of the kind of negotiations that have been going on, and management has been following along quite along in the process, and we would advise that you authorize the manager to go ahead and sign, and we would enter into the agreement and carry it out as the project proceeds.
Okay, questions? Good to see it resolved. The town council has reviewed it, I think, with you and advised,
Mr. Krager has put some additional
Considerable work into it.
labor and time and effort into this one, so we thank him and Meg White for the time that they've spent on trying to get it just right, and, you know, hopefully this, in its present form, works.
any questions? Mike, anything, comments, questions? Jim? Nope, okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we authorize the,
And Jim, I would ask you that you say substantially in the form that you see before you, that's all.
that we authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with between the town of Winchester and James and Susan Carney, 9 Winter Street, Winchester, Mass. Relative with, it's in essential.
Substantially in the form
form as,
identified by
an
the,
agreement is before us.
by council.
Second.
Further questions? Seconded. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nays, ayes have it. Okay.
Thank you. No appointments, everything else is proceeding as we mentioned, gearing up for town meeting as you already identified, so.
Okay, good. Okay, matters from the audience. Are there any matters that people wish to raise that are not already on the agenda that they'd like us to take up at a future meeting? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Okay, no, I didn't skip you, I'm sorry.
No, I said you can for the 8 o'clock.
For the, she
Yeah.
thinks you're running late.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that then. So I've been reminded, we've set the meeting, set the hearing for 8 o'clock for the TWK as the Wakefield Kitchen for an outdoor dining permit. And if you'd like to,
Waterfield Kitchen.
Waterfield Kitchen, I'm sorry, it's small type, early in the evening. If you would, please join us and introduce yourself. We'd be happy to entertain your.
Good evening, Jill Elmstrom Mann here on behalf of Left Eden Restaurant Corporation, the petitioner and owner of TWK. This evening, we have before you a request to expand our existing liquor license to allow the service of alcohol on the outdoor patio. As this board may know, well, I know you know, that you just amended your bylaws to actually permit a special permit that would actually allow these businesses to go forward and have outdoor service of food and beverages. We did appear before the planning board and received that special permit, a copy of which was appended to your package. It has been recorded and therefore effective, and now we are simply seeking the ability to serve alcohol when we in fact do open up the outdoor patio. We're really excited about it. At the time we did enter into the lease for this particular location, we did seek to expand our lease to include that area, the 500 feet. So it's on that little side street. So when you come down, I think it's Thompson, right? So it's Winchester Place. It's that nice little area, and it's an alcove, and it kind of is already almost set up, if you will, for a patio and for the outdoor service. One of the requirements that the ABCC does require is that we ensure safety and the inability for people to simply access the area. So we do, in fact, block it with the planters and then block it with exactly like they like with the ropes and or chains. You know, there's something impeding access. We have a hostess station, if you will, so that you are only able to get in if you're supposed to, and you can't get in and out without being supervised. So we have complied with those outdoor patio requirements.
And I assume residents and businesses that are share that patio would not be impeded, they'd be able to move.
Oh,
in and-
most
yeah,
certainly.
yeah.
This particular part of the patio is actually owned by Mr. Foley as trustee for this trust. So this is not, in no way impinges upon the free traffic that goes by. It always was sort of blocked off. So when you go down there, there's this planter that sticks out. And then Mr. Foley owns the fee in that part from the planters, if you will, in toward the building, where there's that really pretty big, huge window that already has a door actually in and out as well.
Okay. Questions, board members? Comments?
This
Richard?
is something that we've been working on for a while. I want to thank and acknowledge Brian Zakelli's work at revamping the zoning bylaws and our other regulations. Jennifer Caffarella in our office on the ABCC part of it, but we think this is a further step towards augmenting the activity in the town center. We're hoping that maybe there are opportunities for other restaurant owners to be able to consider the same kind of treatment, you know, but this is particularly
We're very
geared
excited.
toward being able to have this outdoor dining experience, so management highly recommends it, so.
Okay. And I know, Mike, go ahead.
It sounds like it's a perfect location to do this, so just want to make sure that you guys are going to still be open later on Monday nights for us when we're done with our meetings. Sorry.
It'll be
Appreciate
nice
that.
on one of those hot summer nights,
We
won't
know
it?
this is restricted from April 1st to October 31st, from 11 in the morning till 10 p.m. We seldom get out of here before 10 p.m., so, however,
Uh-oh.
things
Well,
like
then
that.
you may come though on the weekend.
I see.
But I think the special permit was limited just in order to, you know,
No, I think
in
that's
consideration of
detailed.
the neighborhood.
There's some residential, there's some,
Yeah.
right, so
Most
that's, which
certainly is, 'cause
is a
it's
good,
mixed-use
good
area.
compromise.
Okay. And they're
Trying
planning.
to understand your drawing, is
Oh, most
Thompson
certainly.
Street here or here?
Okay, I have to actually look. So Thompson Street is on the opposite end of where I have the, I have to look. So, you know, do you mind, because if I tell you, I still have to look where you are, because I don't know how they presented the plan. Excuse me. Okay, so Thompson Street is this way.
Okay.
Because this is where the big window is, yes, this way.
Right, okay, and so this is the other side of the existing building?
That's, yeah, that's
the other
across the
side.
hall, and these are here.
Right, those
So,
are the
yep,
planters, yeah,
Exactly,
okay.
and so that's where the free traffic kind of
Sure,
flows down.
okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
How many total seats will it be?
44 in the patio,
Okay.
and we hope they're always filled.
And I understand from the paperwork that you said the planning board has reviewed this in detail and it's consistent
Yes.
with our new
And
bylaws.
they issued the
Okay.
permit, absolutely, we have conditions that we must fulfill and satisfy, so,
Do those conditions include the conditions imposed, requested by the health department?
they would have always included that. I don't know for sure, I can't recall, but typically they do include all the conditions.
Health
that-
issues its own set of restrictions.
Yeah, I was going to say, because we have to actually get
The
a permit to
comply
go out.
permit.
We're
I
just gonna
just
quickly
noticed
look
that we have this message from Jen Murphy that, you know, the outdoor area must be only for dining and not for food preparation or holding of
Right.
any food.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You know, and
Can't do that.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, we can't do outdoor preparation of food because we don't have a permit to do
And
that.
about plates and utensils and glasses being stored in covered areas, and there must be a self-closed mechanism on the door.
Yes.
So, I mean, I would.
Yeah, that's all part of their
Whether-
common victualers'
In addition,
responsibilities.
in addition to that, the actual decision and the findings issued by the planning board actually say the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, the advice will restrict the use of the property any further if needed. So the conditions of the Board of Health have already been contemplated and will be imposed upon us.
Okay. Okay, further questions? You have a motion?
Yes, then I would move that we approve the extension of the outdoor dining to the liquor license of the Waterfield Kitchen.
Okay,
Second.
seconded. Further questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes, opposed, nays, ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
just gonna give these documents. Thank you, appreciate it, and look forward to seeing everybody there.
Okay. I'm going to actually open the next hearing, actually, and it's close enough to 10 o'clock. I will open both of those, well, open the continuation of both of those hearings, but I'm going to ask your indulgence to take the comptroller's report first, since I promised her she wouldn't have to stay till midnight. So I'm going to open the 8:05 hearing, which is a continuation of the all-alcohol retail package store license to Kajal and Kevin One LLC, doing business as Liquor Junction. And then I will, since it's close to 10, I will also open up the continuation of the same type of license being requested by Alfred Adizio, doing business as Salute. So with your permission, I'll wait a few minutes and take the comptroller's report at this time. Stacy, would you like to? She said she was working late, so I thought this is a great opportunity for us to get a detailed briefing on it.
I'll try not to take up too much of your time, but I haven't been here for a month or two, so I figured I'd show you I still work here. In your packet, there was the comptroller report. That was a comparative report between this year as of February 28th and last year as of February 29th. In the memo that I also provided, I did give some highlights as to where the revenues are at, some of the expenditures, all that good stuff. But as you can see, when you look at the February this year compared to last year, we're doing pretty good. Basically the same as last year in most instances. Some of the things to mention through February, our motor vehicle excise tax is going to be low because our big commitment goes out at the beginning of February and it's not due until March. So, well, I should say the end of February and it's not due until March. So we're going to see a big flow of revenue coming in for that line item. I mentioned that the pilots, the payment in lieu of taxes from the hospital, we've been getting that closer to the end of the fiscal year, so hopefully we'll get that in. And we've been using that money. Not only does it come in as a pilot, but there's also a gift associated with that the Board of Selectmen has used for various projects. Let's see. I noted in the memo that the trash disposal services revenue received is a little bit less than last year this time. I had a conversation with the town clerk who mentioned that the permit fees were, the due date was extended by about 15 days. So instead of being due March 1st, they're due March 15th. That, she believes, is the reason why there's a little bit of a drop. But we'll see how that looks at the end of March. The other thing I mentioned was cemetery revenue. The board yourselves had recommended that we drop the percentage for the general fund down to, I think the goal is 50%, but it was staggered. So this is, I think it's 55 this year, and it was 60% last year. And there's a few timing differences with when the receipts are being turned over. So we'll keep an eye on that line item. Miscellaneous non-recurring revenue. That's the big one at the very bottom of the report. Last year, it looks like we got a ton of money, but that $4.3 million was the premium, basically, for the high school project when we issued the debt. And we reserved all of that and actually sent it back to the high school so we could reduce our borrowing. This year, we had about $690,000 of a premium, so it's in that $772,000. So none of that is going to be general fund free cash when the year ends. Let's see. And even though February 28th versus 29th doesn't seem like a big deal, but I do think that one day does make a little bit of difference in some of the local receipts, just collecting one more days of revenue and one more turnover. So some of them might look slightly low, but at the end of March, we can get a better idea where we're at. Let's see. Any questions on revenues?
I was just gonna, so on most
Sure.
of these are mostly timing issues for the most part?
Yeah, I think so.
On the other hand, I noticed that we're past the due date for the taxes, real estate taxes. So we should be at 75% and we're not quite there.
Slightly. We have a reserve. We're not going to collect 100% of our taxes. So there's, as you can see, there's an allowance for abatements. This year it's only 400,000. Last year it was 475. So this year we planned for less abatements than we did in the previous fiscal year, just based on history more so than anything. And we're pretty close. We got 74.25 this year and was 74.35 last year, so it's within the trend. And the same with personal property. It's not too far off. But that one day might make a difference in collections too. We'll see how it looks in March.
And it just, and the cherry sheets revenue, I mean, it's the same as last year, but it just lags.
The cherry sheet we collect monthly, and it looks as though it might have to do with the charter school reimbursement, which doesn't come in regularly. It kind of skips a couple months here and there. I'm not sure if that's part of the difference. I think this year they're giving it to us more often than they did last year. But it's still a real small 66.43 versus 66.75.
I mean, I realize it's the
Yeah.
same trend, but I
Yeah.
just wondered what did, that they just a little slow in getting it.
Yeah, sometimes they give us like the veterans reimbursements, the 75% of veterans. It might not come with the monthly payment. It kind of comes every other month, and it depends on when it came last year versus this year. Yeah, there's little small differences here and there. And we're still getting the school construction money for the McCall School. That's going to be, I think, until 2020. So do you know off the top of your head? The McCall MSBA reimbursement? Yeah, a couple more years of that.
One follow-up statement, that
Yes.
400,000 abatement.
Yes.
That's the overlay?
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
It was 475 last year.
yep.
So was that number released from the assessors, the 400?
No, it's not released. It's just what we have to show that we're not going to collect 100% of our taxes. Yeah. So for this year, we're putting aside the 400 instead of 475. The 475, when we look at our history of what we've actually issued in abatements and exemptions, I don't think we've come close to 475, but we still do have to make a meaningful attempt to reserve close to what we have in the past. The DOR, with their Modernization Act, has collapsed all the overlay into one account when you're thinking about abatements, but we can use that. We don't necessarily have to budget this at the same level anymore with these changes, but it does make sense to put some money aside.
Do we know, like, from the assessors, is there any big,
Deficient accounts?
not deficient accounts, big ticket
Oh,
items that might be
abate-
coming up with the DOR?
Does Verizon still have issues?
Actually, we got past a big one,
Is that
the Verizon case,
Verizon.
so that's come in,
Yeah,
that's set, and actually kind of frees up some prior year obligations
Prior year
or set-asides, but I don't think there were any major
Yeah.
concerns that Dan had about who had put in and,
If that frees up some of the overlay, there's 1.5 million sitting there from the past, so that's
That
good
was
to
a
know.
yeah.
Yeah. We can release that and use
But
it.
they've always gotta keep
they have to determine what
Right.
they think they may be exposed to. Right?
tough guys down there.
Exactly, real tough guys.
Girl.
So that's revenues. I think with March, we can see better with some of the changes that we've had with the change of the due date and the transfer station stickers and the February one extra day. We'll see how it looks in March. Now, the general fund expenditures, sorry, this is small. There's really, like I had mentioned in the memo, the salaries appear to be right on target, right under the 67%. If you're just taking a monthly, we're at 8 months in. In some of the departments, we do pay our retirement contribution in July and in August. And the debt, we have debt payments in July and January for the most part. Some others trickle in here and there. And the health insurance, we do pay 2 bills in July, and then the rest we pay a month ahead. So we are 9 months into the year. We look like we'll be right on target with that. And as far as some of the departments that needed money, we rectified some of that at the fall town meeting with legal. I think it was 100, and DPW was 100 for some light work. And the finance committee also had reserve fund transfers of 157,000 through February. Let's see, 5,000 for police salaries, 42,000 for unemployment, 30,000 DPW, a facility position that they hired, and I believe he started this week, and 80,000 for fire overtime. There may be more for fire, but I think John Nash, the Chief Nash, had mentioned that he might not need more, but we'll see how that goes. But as I've mentioned previously, all the department heads, I asked them to submit their budget reports every single month, let me know how things are looking so that we can be proactive instead of reactive. But we know we've got town meeting coming. FinCom has a couple $100,000 left, so we'll just work with them. And snow and ice.
Well, it sounds like that might not be enough, based on what you were saying here, in your snow and ice budget, currently in 120K, we've got another 70K, and that doesn't include the last 2 storms, so that's 190 before we
Yeah,
add the
the
next 2 storms, so we're.
FinCom is
be-
gonna use their money for that.
FinCom will always recommend that that become an article to supplement 2017, so that'll be
Yeah.
the mechanism that'll be proposed to deal with the shortfall there. Be up to town meeting as to whether or not to appropriate, obviously, but that's what we've done in years
And
past.
we have a placeholder warrant.
Yep.
It's a standard one, yes.
Sir.
Stacy, just a
Yes.
question.
Yep.
The school construction figure is 672, it's 100%, is that McCall?
That's McCall.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what the MSBA pays
The
us.
other one is coming in, they're paying it
Yeah.
quicker on the high school.
Comes in monthly.
Yeah, it's a whole different program. They're paying us for debt that we incurred already for the full project, the way that it used to run before the mid-2000s. So they're still paying us for that contract assistance payment. We'll get that for another couple of years to help offset the debt.
Right.
But the high school, they just give it to us before we even borrow long-term.
Just follow up on, that, the 30K for the DPW facility position.
Yep.
That was for the, that's probably,
Half a year's
High
salary.
school.
Yeah.
Half a year.
is it all coming from that, or was there other,
All.
okay.
Yep.
And then, the 80,000 for the fire OT, we just hired, what do we hire, 3 or
Three.
4?
Four.
Three guys, so
Yeah,
hopefully
beginning to
that
fill back up the
OT
roster.
comes.
Yeah, that'll cut that.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would add, this gets added to your notification of meeting dates. So we're meeting with FinCom next Thursday, the 30th,
That's right.
as part of the discussion about the budget for 2018. And obviously, we could roll in some of these issues relating to the construction of 2017 as well.
Yeah, and the FinCom chairman has extended an invitation to all of us. We're gonna volunteer Mr. Howard to stand in front of us, but everybody, it's open to everyone. It's been posted meeting, so all of us can attend. Okay. Anything else, Stacy? It sounds like it's in
Yeah,
reasonably
I
good
think,
shape.
yeah, there's water and sewer. I asked how things are looking, and with recreation, the both enterprise funds, and they got back to me saying things look okay, on target. Recreation always has a tight salary budget, the temporary wages, so he's aware of it, and we'll just be communicating. There is a warrant article on the Springtown meeting warrant regarding the recreation fund, but I don't know if they're gonna use it, so we'll just have to talk to Chris Nelson about that, but
Okay, good.
in a nutshell.
Else, other questions for Stacy?
No?
No? Okay,
I have
so
one
we're-
thing to mention, if you don't mind, the retiree health insurance mitigation fund, this was the final year, the 3rd year, and we mailed out the applications last week, and so we'll be reviewing them between now and the end of April to finish out that program and see how, I'll let you know how the numbers look and what we end up mailing out. for payments.
Good. Excellent.
That's all.
Other questions, comments? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. We turn to the two hearings, and thank you for sitting out. I might, if Mr. Vaughn and Mr. Tubby would like to join us at the table. I think we have technical issues to deal with tonight in the beginning of this. So we're going to continue the hearings that we opened and started last things. What we did, for those of you who are not with us, I'm sorry, David?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to bring up, I had a chance to talk to council even as late as today, that I have a conflict with, for me to be involved, vote on 632 Main Street as far as this application process goes. And I would also have a conflict if the applications go together for 632 and 747. If they're held together, I would have to recuse myself from that as well.
Okay, and I gather from your previous conversations, you've checked with the State Ethics Commission as well as our town
Yeah, I
council.
followed up today with previous office.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
With that, I don't know if I'm,
yeah, you're allowed to go get coffee, I guess, is the option. So, Mrs. Vaughn, if you let the record show that Mr. Rico has recused himself from this discussion to avoid a potential conflict of interest on the advice of counsel. So what we did last meeting was we asked each of the applicants to present their application and their plans, and I thank both of you and all the owners who came with you for doing that. We then had a board discussion, questions, and then opened the meeting for public comments, took public comments. A number of you sent in letters over the last several weeks. We have those, and those will be included in the record. And I believe at the end of the last session of the hearing, we closed the public comment period, so we will not be taking public comments tonight. But in the board discussion, we then discussed with both of you the additional paper filings, additional information that you were that we were asking for, and you said you would submit. So I am understanding, I may perhaps start with Mr. Vaughn, that you've, I gather from council discussions that you have been doing a lot of paperwork, so if you'd kind of give us a quick status and.
Yeah, I did communicate with town council last week. Mina Macarius, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I'm not, but I think the board had some questions as to making sure that my client, the applicant Alfred Adizio, completely understood the requirements of 138.15 as it relates to not being able to have any ownership in more than one license in the town. I think as we tried to make very clear at the hearing, he is applying for this in his own name. He has a passion to open up this specialty gift basket business. He has a strong retail background, having been the manager at Town Pantry. Fully understands what the limitations of 138.15 are. I went over that with Attorney Macarius last week. I sent him an email acknowledging it, and again, there's going to be no commonality with the wine country operation, which we understand a family member does own and run. He has no interest in that whatsoever, nor will any person associated with wine country have any interest in the application for salute. So we feel that we have addressed that and provided documentation to town council memorializing that, and be happy to answer any more questions you may have. So.
And I think the other remaining question was you were looking at possibly a different location?
Yeah, so a different subject, but yeah. And we do have a location that we did want to apprise the board of. We certainly recognize that if we're fortunate enough to have the board's blessing and background for this concept, which we hope we would need to re-advertise that since it is a new location. But the property in question, Mr. Chairman, is 611 Main Street. We have a letter of intent that's been signed to occupy the first floor of that building at 611 Main. I actually have some photos of the building, but if you wouldn't mind, I can pass those around. They're all the same photo, but I suspect that you're familiar with 611 Main Street. It is the brick building that sits immediately adjacent to the location where Vivian's Nails is, and is also directly across the street from Brugger's and Joe's Pizza. So we feel that this is an ideal location for a number of different reasons. The building and space itself are perfect. As you can see, there's great window exposure. It would be that first floor premises to the right of the entry door in the corner. Windows provide great visibility to showcase the business. It would also help to create some additional foot traffic and activation in this section of the town center, which is something we know is of significance to the board and the town as a whole, having heard some comments and feedback previously. The space also does provide 3 off-site parking spaces in the rear, which we think is significant. Those would be most likely used by employees, but I think what that does is it just frees up more on-street parking along Main Street for customers. We certainly recognize that that's at a premium, and I think the fact that we have 3 off-site spaces that go specifically and solely with this leased space is important. So, and also, as I think we touched upon before, I think by being in the town center, which again has been my client's desire from the beginning, when the application was made, because you had that deadline, he was on a waiting list, waiting to find out about some space in the town center. We had to make application, and as I indicated before, the decision had been made to bifurcate the town pantry space anyway, so that provided a logical location for the submission of the application. Fortunately, this space did become available, and I think the reason why this is preferred from my client's perspective is it enables him to better serve some of the area businesses as well that are in the town center. I think we talked before about likely customers being the real estate agencies and others that would find a gift basket business like this to be something not only that they currently use, but something that we feel that they would continue to use in larger measure. But you know, there's, for example, in this building, there's architects and attorneys that are on the 2nd and 3rd floors that would be, you know, hopefully good customers. And also, I think there's some synergies and partnership potential with many of the small businesses that are in that area as well, and trying to do business with the local merchants that are in that area, maybe trying to showcase some of their products and merchandise as part of the gift baskets and those arrangements. So we think there's a lot of pluses for this location, but we obviously understand that the board would need to re-advertise for that specific address, since that's not the address that's been currently advertised. So I'm certainly willing to, any other questions you have, but before I forgot, we do have something that we were going to just provide copies of to the board, but we did have petitions that have been signed in support of the application from residents of the town of Winchester. I apologize, there's 3 copies here, but there's probably about 70 signatures which were obtained in just a few days' time from residents of the town who felt that this was an appropriate application and use of this license. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
So I guess the short of the bottom line of this is that in order to give us an application that's current, we'd have to re-advertise and ask you to submit a new revised application. And I guess I'm going to, Tabby, I understand that you may want to make some changes, minor changes to your application as
no,
well. I guess the question would be, would a continuation or re-advertising of the license application suit both of you, or is this a difficulty?
No, our preference would be to continue our hearing to the date of the new public hearing for
them?
Mr.
Okay.
Dizio's new application.
Okay, and I understand in the meantime, Mr. Whitehead was able to meet with your clients?
Correct.
Yes.
And
Meeting
get
was
a
held
considerable amount of
last Friday.
information.
Right, and I would
Okay.
say that I'm very receptive, you know, got all the information. They were very complete and made me, I feel comfortable with their financial plan.
Okay.
And then to Mr. Betancourt's point, we are working on an amendment to the lease that we will submit to the board probably next week.
Okay, So if I understand, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, through you to the town manager, I think based on the timing, the next hearing could be probably April 10th or so.
I understood
That's-
from Mrs.
that's the
Mon,
date.
between our advertising
But
requirements.
I think
yeah.
legally, I think our counsel right now could tell us, I think we have to suspend both hearings to the 10th, one at a time. I don't think we can do the two together, they're two separate hearings.
Yeah.
Sounds like both
Suspend.
parties are in
think-
agreement on that. But what we would need, though, would be the lease agreement.
Sure.
And the floor plan
Understood, yeah,
for the
yeah.
new location, and then in an effort to be able to bring the matter back before the board with an appropriate time. For April 10th, we probably need all that documentation before the end of the week, Attorney Vaughn, you know.
Yeah, is April 10th the only date that the board would,
It's the last board date before town meeting, so
okay,
currently, yeah, it's up to the board, it's not up to me.
okay, sure.
That's the schedule right now. It's
Okay.
April 3rd
Well,
and
the,
April 10th.
yeah, the application really, the meat and substance of it stays the same. The only
Yes,
thing that
it's
would be
just
different
this,
would be
new
the
location.
address, the lease, and the floor plan issue.
Substituting the lease and
Right.
doing the floor plan, right.
I think our I think what we would, well, I don't know, whether we have to close these hearings and then start new ones, or whether
I
we
think
can
we
suspend
suspend
this
these
one and
hearings one at
then
a time.
reassume,
and then
continue
renew
these.
them for-
continue this.
Continue.
And
Well, would it be a new hearing?
You would have a new hearing
Hearing
on
for-
the license for Salute at the new location. That would be a new hearing entirely.
So we
so
would.
we would open new
we would
hearings for
clo-
both,
clo-
yeah.
Continue one and close the
You
other.
would, yep, you would, at the time that,
Well,
you would
unless,
start the hearing on the new one, you would end the hearing on the previous one.
and re-advertise for it. Well, I guess
Right.
if you're gonna
And open the
submit
new one.
and open a new one,
No, we
No.
would,
We'll open.
we would ask for you to continue.
To
it.
continue theirs,
yeah.
right.
Continue,
You would get a new advertisement for a new location
And we would-
at 6/11.
so when we had the
When you
re-hearing,
start that
you would
hearing, you would
close the
close the
hearing
hearing on,
the one and open the new one.
I forget the address at
The new address?
Pantry, no.
The 745 Main
45.
Street, yeah.
You would close that in time.
Okay, so if
At-
that's,
That's
yeah,
April
so,
10th.
and I guess then we would have, so I guess what we'll do is continue the hearings until April 10th, and if in between that time we find that you can't get the paperwork into us, then the board could, what would then probably happen is we
Take a
have to
vote.
convene after after town meeting, because I think during town meeting, it's a bit of a,
Understood.
very difficult to sort of hold a coherent hearing that didn't last for more than 15 minutes. So if that's agreeable to both of you, and I guess I'll open
Yes, so go
to
ahead.
board comments, Mike, any,
Yeah, no, I think
Steve,
that,
any,
I think that's fine, and we're going to, you know, reopen and allow resident comment on,
We will.
on those, on both of them.
yes, I mean, my understanding is we will suspend and then reopen both of them on the 10th, and we will then hear any new material that either party wants to present, and we will then take public comments at that time, and then go into board consideration. And we can do them that way.
Trust.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, I would move first that we continue the public hearing for all alcohol retail package store license for Kajal and Kevin One LLC to April 10th at 8 PM.
Mhm.
Second.
And so it's first.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we
do
get
that.
through,
One of it.
get it
Seconded,
done one at a
okay.
time.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, done,
Aye.
okay.
And then, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we continue the public hearing for the all alcohol retail package store license for Alpha Didicio doing business as Salute at 747 Main Street to April 10th at 8:05.
Second.
Seconded, further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nays, ayes have it. Thank you, short meeting, but I appreciate your coming by tonight and providing all the additional information.
Right.
I hope that will clarify most of the questions, I think it will clarify most of the questions we have. Did you have, Jim, did you have other comment? You want to make?
I just wanted, have you had a discussion about the name?
No.
No.
Okay, all right. Good, so thank you all for coming by for this evening, but.
Thank you very much,
then pick
appreciate your
up on
time.
April
Thanks.
10th if we, let's do that. Thank you, Mark.
But that would be something that the board could interject at the appropriate moment, if there is a moment to interject.
I thought we might give them a heads up that it was coming.
Maybe that's your time.
David?
Okay. Thank you. Okay. That concludes our hearings for this evening. We go into our business agenda. I have the first item of business is an interview and appointment to the Permanent Street Tree Committee of Mary Drummond. Would you join us? Thank you for volunteering, and watch your knees when you sit in that. Cords, yeah, between the cords and the wood, it's dangerous. Thank you very much for applying. Would you take a moment or so to introduce yourself and tell us why you're interested in volunteering your good evenings to work on the tree committee? Because we appreciate the effort.
Typically, we meet during the day.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet everybody. I'm Mary Drummond. I have been a Winchester resident for almost 15 years. I have 3 children in the schools in Winchester, so we're invested in here. My youngest is in first grade, so we're invested here for probably easily another 15, who knows. And I was looking for a way to get involved, and I saw this permanent street tree committee, and it looked kind of interesting. I know on our street we've lost a lot of the old maples, and some of them have been replaced and some haven't. And I think, we have a beautiful town, and this is a really important component to it, and it's nice that we have an endowed fund that I guess would need to be overseen to some degree by the committee, and so I'd like to help with that. I am actually a business person. I run my own consulting firm for the biopharmaceutical industry. I help small biopharmaceutical companies, largely, sometimes bigger ones, but mostly smaller ones, help figure out what their strategy for going to market is going to be over the course of the early stages of drug development and so forth. So I have a business background, and I'm really engaged in the town, and I'd like to be more engaged.
Okay. Excellent. Good. You have questions, Mrs. Drummond? No?
Thank you for applying. It looks like you know what's going on, so that's good. We'll keep the trees growing, that's a good
Yes.
thing.
Good. Any other, Mike or David, any comments?
No, thank you very much.
I would just say, for the benefit of the public, that this street tree committee does, in fact, each year organize the purchase and planting of trees throughout the town along the streets, and prioritizes those replacements where they've been taken down the year before, and also to improve and enhance the gateway streets in the town. So, welcome.
Thank you.
And the fund one of the funds for the trees, the Peter Van Aken Memorial Fund, we've had several contributions to it in recent years. And
Oh, great.
so that's it gives us a little bit more leverage and opportunity to do this. So this is your last chance to say no, thank you. But so I'll ask the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we appoint Mary Drummond, the Permanent Street Tree Committee, for a term, indefinite term.
Forever.
Forever.
Stuck.
As long as the trees live.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, now's your last chance. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no's. Ayes have it. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Gill, who's sitting behind you on the right, will be putting you to work as soon as the ground thaws. He's looking for volunteers. Sir?
Be sure to give Patty your contact. Well, you have her
I have
contact?
it.
Okay, good, because
Just had a question there for Jay too. Does like Eversource, do they give us notification when they're gonna trim trees for fires?
Yeah,
Yes.
come in and visit us.
Yeah.
They butcher the.
well, they're allowed to go an
Yeah.
incredible distance, and we try to work with them
Yeah.
to minimize that. But legally, they can. What is it? 10 feet?
Yeah, 10 feet by height, 15 feet below and 14 feet in width.
Wide, yeah. I mean, it's huge.
They don't like to come back, so they just
Okay.
make a big cut.
On the other hand, the power grid we haven't had power failures due to tree limbs falling down either, so,
No limbs.
well, there are no limbs, right? You should see what they did to the tree across the street from me. It's hardly any of it left.
So we'd like you to tackle Eversource on that.
Yeah.
That is one of the issues we deal with. That is one of the issues we deal with on a regular basis.
Okay.
So I'll just wait to hear from Patty then?
Yes, you'll get a,
I'll let it,
Well, you'll hear from the chairman of the committee.
yeah, you'll get a formal letter confirming the appointment, but it's effective as of tonight. so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Second item, Mr. Ryerson, we have an update on the Wildwood Cemetery.
Dated today.
Tomorrow.
Thanks.
He's-
Mary?
So I welcome Mr. Rice. I notice he's put on a tie to appear before the selectmen this evening, so that means he must be gonna ask for money. So
Left the camera home.
we're,
We have 6 items we'd like to talk to you about. We have a video for about
let me just take a moment before we finish this. So we can hear. Okay, Bill, if you'd like to introduce your colleagues so the people at home know these august group of,
We have Mr. Shaddix, the cemetery coordinator, myself, Bill Wise, the chair, Barbara O'Connell, the vice chair, Alan from Blondell Motors. He's a little late getting here. He said he sold a couple of cars to Steve's customers, but he got it early. And Jay Gill, the superintendent of public works.
okay, I think you have a list of a half a dozen items to update us.
Well, we got 6 items, should take 1 hour on each, so. we'll
Okay.
get the first item, cemetery commissioners would like to bring up is the memorial gift program that we talked to you about in January of 2016. And since then, at that time, we only talked about benches for the cemetery. And we've sort of expanded that, worked on it all year, actually. And Jimmy's put a lot of time into it, and Jay's helped us. And I had talked to the town manager during the year. We weren't sure how to set up an account to handle these monies, but Jay stepped up and said he can establish that within the DPW. So now we know what to do with the cash once it starts coming in, we hope. On the benches, Jim has worked it out, so we think the total cost would be about $2,500 a bench. It's a good quality bench. That includes the foundation, it includes, what Jimmy can tell you.
Yeah, includes the cost of the bench, the hardware to set it in the ground, foundation cost, setting cost, shipping cost, and then there's a plaque, memorial plaque that we're hoping to get people to purchase from between $150 and $300 to add to the back of the bench, incorporate it right in there.
We want to limit it down at this time to just 10 benches in the cemetery at locations that Jim will select. And when we reach 10, we'll, at that point, look at the program and decide whether we can fit in any more or how. We don't want it to look like some other areas that are overbenched, we'll say. In addition, we've sort of expanded the program. We thought, well, maybe if a family can't come up with the $2,500 and they still want to do something to memorialize the departed member of the family, what can we do? So we talked to Jimmy, and at many of our meetings, we hashed it around and decided we should allow, like, the planting of a tree, or if they don't have enough money for trees, some bushes. Even I told Jimmy, even if they only have $25 a road bush or something, take the money, you know. People want to memorialize something for the departed family. So that's the program, and we're ready to roll on it. And we just wanted to come before you and get your final stamp of approval, and we can get started on this.
okay, I guess the question, Steve was gonna ask the question, but in setting up the account, is that something we need to set up formally through Stacy?
Yeah, you have to come.
Okay, so you're gonna follow up with Stacy to set that up, because we have a legal requirement. Hey, Steve, I'm gonna,
Question, Bill, if somebody wants to donate one of these benches, you're talking 2,500 and then 350 for a plaque on the back?
No, 2,500 would be the total
Well,
cost.
it includes everything.
Oh, okay.
More
I
people
thought
than
it was
25.
hanging at 350.
2,200, roughly 25, more people in there. Yeah.
And there's 10 we're talking about.
Right,
now.
and the tree cost, we come up with a $500 cost. That's a little high for making a good shade tree. Most of them run around $350. We just want to make sure it covers, you know, perhaps what they choose for a tree specimen. We're trying to get the right kind for the cemetery. Shade trees, most of them, oaks, pin oaks, things like that. But the tree thing was started, what happened is over the last, I've been up there the last 20 years, a lot of people have come to me, and when we do a new area, what we end up doing is filling the area, grassing it in, you know, lay out the land, lay out the lots, and a lot of people look at the older section, they go, hey, can we get a tree in this new area? A lot of the new areas, what we do is, we end up laying them out and I sell the graves, and then after I sell the graves, I incorporate trees after in the right area to make it fill in the proper way, you know what I mean? Trying to make it look like the older aesthetical areas in the hill and stuff. So the last thing we do when we do a section, for example, down at Sirocco Way, half of that area down there that we developed is sold out, and we're looking to incorporate more trees. We did 3 last year, but people have come to me over the years. I've probably gotten at least 10 or 15 requests from people. So that's what got us thinking about doing the tree program.
So this could cover trees for new areas as well as
Yep.
trees, replacement trees for ones that have died off. And
Right.
or
A
need
lot
to
of
be
them,
replaced. Okay.
I lost a couple in the
Aged out,
spring, for
yeah.
example, a big oak tree fell down up in Mountain Ave. We're gonna
Okay.
look to stump that and redo. I typically do that when we lose trees. I replant in the exact same areas for a lot of them.
Okay.
It works out well.
And just for your knowledge, we have the tree warden, Big Hill, and the deputy tree warden, so we're well equipped to handle that.
No comment, okay. So I guess the question to the town manager, do we need to authorize the establishment of the
Gift program?
the account?
Yep.
And then, do we have a written description of the program?
Yeah, I got a handout here. I can
Okay,
probably-
good, we could, so we could,
I can pass them around.
I was thinking, so Jim could make a motion that was formally incorporated in Patty's
There's an
notes.
application form in there, and I just did a quick cover letter to explain the program a little bit to you. And some of the updates in the cemetery also overlap in there.
You gave us the green light about a year ago, and we have spent the past year working it over and developing it, so it'll work for everyone.
But we've given you the green light for the program, but not for the account, right?
You gave us a green light in January of 2016 to go ahead with forming a program, which we have now
Right,
done.
so we now need to authorize you to establish the account for the program.
Right, start the program.
We're gonna take those one at a time. Is there anything else that would be involved in that you want to brief us on? Or what I'm suggesting is maybe we, before we forget what we're doing, we ask the vice chair to make a motion to approve establishment of the account.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we authorize the establishment of a memorial gift program account for the Wildwood Cemetery to receive funds for the establishment of trees, benches, and other memorials as established in the proposal dated March 20th, 2017.
Second.
Seconded, Mr. Powers. Any questions, David or Mike? Anybody else? Any further comments? Otherwise, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. No ayes have it. Okay, so.
Right, next.
Mr. Chair, on the columbarium, we wanted to report, the columbarium was, we had a soft opening on Memorial Day weekend, so it's only been open less than 10 months. And Jim has sold 14 niches, and there's a couple more that people are looking at. We found it's one of those things, people look at it, think about it, and then come back and, finally make a decision. It's a lot different than selling grave sites on a need basis, where you're selling a columbarium on a pre-need basis, usually. And we really haven't want to rush the sales of the columbarium, because if we sell them all out, or half of them or so, we'll have to start working on another one. And since it took me 40 years to get the one we have in there, I really, we have to think too on if we can speed up the program a little bit for columbarium number 2. I don't think I got another 40 years left. I know Steve Powers will probably be here another 40 years, but so we think probably if they sell at the rate they're going, we probably have to think in about 2 years to come in and say to you,
Start
it's
planning.
time to start, building. We already have several sites picked out that we will suggest, but for the time being, things are going well on the columbarium, except it needs another sidewalk, and we'll talk to Jake Gill about that. I think the landscape architect might have slipped up a little on that. There's no access from the center part where the big oak tree is in the center of the cemetery. People have to walk way around the other side to come into it. We think as a safety matter, there should be another sidewalk installed there, but that's something we can work out.
Yeah,
with
we know.
Jay. So, on Willow Avenue, if you're familiar with the Willow area development, we've come to you before. We got monies out of the request funds for doing work over there, for having the architect lay out the plan for it. There's 350 double deep graves, flat markers, that'll be in that area. And Jay Gillen has sent his crews over there several times, and they did all the work for preparing the area and laid out a sidewalk after it was designed by the architects. And so everything's ready to go on that. I think Jimmy's plans to start selling it.
Well, we got it all, the DPW helped us dig it out, and we paid, put the binder in, we're gonna do the finished course in there. And then, it's gonna be staked out as soon as that snow goes. You previously saw the plan, you've already endorsed it and signed it off, so that's all been, officially done here, which is good. I'm thinking real quick, maybe put a couple of these benches in there, hopefully a couple more trees also, after I finish laying out the Willow Ave area, which is off in the main gate. If you come in the main gate, it's your first right, if you wanna come see the site.
That area only cost a few $1,000s from monies from the request funds, spent mostly on architectural design. And thanks to Jay Gill, we got all the preparation done. So that'll bring in at least $1 million, so a little profit involved there. If I can skip on to the next subject. I approached, after talking with the committee, we really approached the Home and Garden Club and stated to them all the good work they do around the town and the common and elsewhere. We said, how about the cemetery? What could you do for us? And they have done things with Jimmy over the years.
Yeah.
But I said, how about something a little more formal? We could actually, as we get 75 acres right in the middle of town, you know, a lot of area could be beautified. And they said they'd bring it up at the next meeting, which they did. And they reported back to me, and they're gonna have me at one of their meetings coming up sometime soon. Only thing is, they already did their scheduling for this year, and you're probably aware of a lot of that. So that it'll be something they'll program. It probably won't get much done until like another year, but we're in the works, and we're looking forward to that'll be something to really help the cemetery, and they do a pretty good job, the Home and Garden Club, so we're looking forward to results from that. We have one item we'd like to get done this year on the quarry area, if you're familiar with it, the old quarry. That's where the material that came from the widening of the river. It wasn't material from the river, it was material from the embankment. It was a good, clean material, all tested by the state, everything for it went in there. That material is allowed to settle in there, and we've kept the grass cut over there, so it's nice, it's a good, clean area. The only problem we have is the back area. The town doesn't own right up to the wall of the quarry, so there's an area in the back, we call it the trench, and I think in the future, the town probably should look into purchasing that land that's in the back of the quarry, so that when it's developed, it'll be a lot more beautiful. It's rather unsightly now to have the nice green grass area and then a big hole there, and it's a little hazardous too. So what we need, and we'd like to get started on this year, maybe we could get some funds again from the request funds, is to have a survey done and a plot plan made for that quarry area, and then we can study that and decide whether by ourselves or with everybody involved, maybe the architect should get involved too, and decide just how to develop the quarry, and at which time we would come up with another presentation. So this year, if we'd like the permission to go ahead and work out, Jim's already talked to a local engineer, a surveyor, and he's willing to do the work. We haven't got a price from him yet. Due to the weather, he asked me to never really study the area too much, but we talked about it in the last week, right?
Yep.
So he should be over there sometime soon. We'll get a figure, and then we'll talk to the town manager and figure out how we can get the funds to survey the area, get a plot plan done. This is something that's in the future. but it's a nice area and a beautiful area. So it'll sort of wind up like a cemetery within the cemetery. Jimmy, we're thinking of upright stones in there, flat marker areas, and
Full
maybe some columbarium.
There's a plan on the master plan that shows that area being expanded, actually. A road going in, there's a turnaround, part of the Carol Johnson study.
But the board in using that to put that fill over there was an excellent idea, because it's really worked out well. It's cleaned up the area. It looks, 1,000% better than it did before. But that's just something we want to work into slowly. So if it's okay with you folks, we'll get back to you and come up with a cost on getting the survey done. And maybe we'll work it out, check with the town manager, and find out where we can come up with some funds. Hopefully the bequest funds will.
The survey and the plan would give you, the architect or the engineer could give you some estimate how much additional fill would be needed to. Okay.
Yeah, but Jay said he's got enough fill available that we could fill in that ditch in the back.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, okay. So it's not a matter of finding material, it's a matter of laying out.
Correct.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to every time we need something to come up, I get down and see Jay, and he works it out. So we've got a good thing going between the committee and the DPW and Jimmy and the town manager. I meet him at Dunkin' Donuts usually, so that's why we don't come to see you too often. But,
Just from I missed, you may have said earlier, but the area we're talking about, is it all town-owned land
No,
at this point?
it's-
Or we're talking about purchasing? Yeah.
Except the ditch along the back, which is
Right,
right
that's
against
the issue.
the wall of the old quarry.
Who owns that?
But
Who owns?
there's two owners, two or maybe three owners. There's one owner from East Chester that owns a strip that runs straight back along the quarry edge. And there's another owner from Abbey Place that owns a piece up near the top of it. And it really, the land goes across, you got a ditch there. So it's a safety factor and aesthetic factor.
The survey, do we have a land title search that's needed to be done?
That would be done.
Survey would tell us, yeah.
The survey and the plot plan. They
Okay.
come up with the-
So we'd have to have
I know
council.
who the owners are, actually.
that as
I've actually talked to the owners and told them, you see people walking around your property, I told them what we're doing. And so they're well aware of it.
Okay, good.
And the last area we wanted to mention to you is unused grave sites at the cemetery. In the last, well, we've looked at this actually over the years. There are several areas where there's graves that people purchased years ago. Actually, you don't purchase a grave, you purchase the right to bury in that lot. Some people call it a license or whatever, but nobody owns graves in the cemetery. They own the right to be buried in the cemetery. So in 1886, there was a family, not from Winchester, but from out of town, a couple towns to the north, and they purchased several big lots over there, equal maybe about 80 graves. It's hard to say exactly because some of them are parcels A or parcel B, and you have to figure out how many graves will fit into that parcel. But it could come to about 80, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
So they approached us recently and said they'd like to sell the lots back to us. But under the procedure that is used at Lywood, the town only pays back to the owner the price that they paid for it. And the price for those 80 graves would be about, they only paid about $500.
There's 11 separate lots up there, and the total cost was a little over $500 back in the late 1800s.
They had big plans for it, but they changed their plans and actually had a large funeral and whatever in an out-of-town cemetery. So that's just an example. There are other lots too. The family approached us last fall, but they wanted to get they were hoping to get the price what the graves are worth today. We did suggest to them that maybe they could donate the graves to the town of Winchester, take a tax. That'd be the smart thing to do because the lots are worth about $3,200 a piece. So there'd be about $250,000 worth of lots over there. They said, no, they didn't think that would be sufficient, so it came to no result. But we think at some point we ought to be able to talk to the town attorneys and decide what to do with a situation like this. I mean, it's an excellent location. There's a lot of ledge in the area, but it's an excellent location for future columbariums, so there'd be good use for that land. And there are other lots in the cemetery that fall into the same situation. So we need a little guidance along the way, and I don't know, maybe we can work it out with the town manager, that we could sit down with the town attorneys at some point, have them either go to a meeting with them or have them come to our meetings, and just decide, how we can go about this. So that's just something we wanted to bring up to you, and it's okay, we'll proceed on it, not tomorrow, but maybe sometime in the near future.
Bill makes a cup of coffee go a long way.
Yeah.
Okay, I presume the original.
I've had so many meetings with the town manager at Dunkin' Donuts, I think he goes to Starbucks now.
Yeah. Well, he's been known to roast.
In Woburn.
Jay's easy to get, I know where he is, he's trapped in there, so.
So I take it the licenses don't have a sunset or expiration clause on them.
Well, we think that's
Probably
what
not.
Bill wanted us to
Yeah,
explore. Under state law, they may in fact have.
If you buy a lot and you don't use it in 75 years, it's supposed to revert back to the town.
Ah, okay.
So this is 1886,
There's a thing in chapter 114, calling the state law.
So the question is, what's an equitable solution?
Yeah, so it's well expired on this
Yeah,
particular.
okay, good, okay, so that sounds good. David, yeah.
What were the family's plans by 80?
They had,
The last-
we have actually some clippings on this.
Yeah.
It's almost unbelievable what they had planned. They planned this huge structure, and they actually did it in another cemetery, which is only about 10 miles from here.
We think they may have confused the cemeteries too, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
they lived in Wilmington, and the cemetery in Wilmington is Wildwood.
Oh,
We're not sure if they got confused and bought them in the wrong town or not.
We have a news article from the days, and it's something to read it and just to read about the funeral that was held and the burial and everything. But seems to resolve.
Bill, so at today's dollars, it's 3,200 times what?
About 80.
So it's 80, it's not 80 doubles, it's 80.
Yeah. So, the land's worth something. If I were the family, I'd take the tax deduction and donate the
They
land.
may not have the.
Most of them are
offset
open,
the-
I worry that some of them are ledge, I'm not sure, Some of them could be great lots, it'll work out singled out.
And as we said, ideal place for columbarium.
so the next step would be to get a legal analysis of our options.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It can be arranged, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I don't, so, good, do we have any other
I
board
would have
questions?
I just have one question, and that's probably for Jimmy more than anything else. I just see that the fence line along, opposite the tennis courts. It's like there's a lot of junk that's been left there, old dead trees and, debris, and it just looks like hell.
People keep hitting the fence too.
And what I was gonna say, the fence seems to be in current disrepair.
We periodically go through there and clean all that out, throw it over the fence. We clean the fence line almost every year, it just keeps growing through.
I'm not sure how much fencing we need. The people in the
I'll
cemetery
consider
can't
ripping
get
it out,
out.
taking it out completely.
The people outside don't want to get in, so really, I don't know.
Whether you really.
I consider removing it because where it is, it's on a hill. Well, if you come over there, a lot of it across the tennis courts, it's such a hill.
I know.
You can't get in there with a vehicle anyway, so, I don't know, it might be better off just taking some of that chain link out and cleaning it.
I'm just suggesting that, it doesn't give you the,
Right.
until you get up to the entrance, you don't really get the impression that you've got a nice.
And the leaves and everything get caught in the fence.
Sure.
In the old days,
You
Harold
almost go by a
Bryan used to
cemetery,
burn
you
it
don't
all.
see some headstones, I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
So, answer your question, Mr. Chairman, we are in the process, there was a tree that fell down that really broke that section of fence you're talking about. We will be doing some type of new fence or a guardrail, we're gonna talk about, like Jimmy said. On that hill area is really a maintenance headache to bring the debris, the leaves down, sometimes we have to open the side of the fence, get all the leaves out, so we're trying to look at an easier process to maintain the hill area, but I agree, we are in the process of changing the fence, looking at it.
Maybe if you took the fence a little bit further back up the hill, so you had, you know, it was,
But you get the problems of leaves and other debris catching in the fence.
I understand, but if you put it at the top of the hill, you know, then it's easier for, you know, Jim to get to it and maintain it.
Maybe do a simple wood guardrail.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when we were, I don't know which project you were looking at, Jay, but the DCR publication with a whole range of fencing types. And, you know, some of them were wood, some of these were vehicle guards, some of them were just pedestrian guards, and they had a whole set of them that were designed to fit with the parks. If we can find it again, we'll send it over
Actually,
to
I
you.
have a couple
Couple
estimates on my
ideas.
desk right now, looking.
Yeah,
I
okay.
have 2 estimates that I worked on the last month. to get
Okay,
some of
good.
them. Fix some of the areas. We had 2 large trees come down.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
You can see what's left of one of them, yeah.
Up near my house, which is the northwest side of the cemetery, there's no fencing, and it doesn't seem to affect.
It totally surrounds the 75 acres though, believe it or not, except the whole chain link.
So maybe it's valuable in some of these areas to take the fencing out.
Yeah.
If it's not an access problem, it's people who go in through the gates and,
Right.
okay. Anything else, David?
We had the walking path where all the kids that parked over there.
Yeah.
Is anybody ever parked over there?
There's a few cars, but not many. That will come out once the, when we see you back in the tape.
But maybe we should just leave the path there, because people walk through it as a, you know,
You can do that?
birders and whatever. There's a lot of people,
You think so?
yeah, it's not hurting anything.
Okay.
I see people ride bikes through there, and, you know, they seem to like this place to stroll.
We just may have to look at the ADA
Yeah.
accessible app.
Further questions? Thank you very much. So
Okay.
we've got the,
I don't know if it's
Report
another
bill.
14 months, but
Yeah.
we're glad to come back and see you.
so you've got authorization to set up the account, and then everything else is kind of pending, so.
Okay, and the town manager can let us know when would be a good time to
When you're gonna
talk
buy
about
them
it.
coffee again, so, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're up.
And our last item of business is Thanks, Jeff. Yes, please. So our last item of business is to do a DPW overview. We, some months ago when we were, I think it was when we were, some months ago when we were talking about one or another of the departments, I think it was perhaps when the chief was in earlier we said we always saw people when they were either asking for money or being told they couldn't have money, and that was always very interesting. But we seldom had had an opportunity to ask the individual departments to come in and just give us an overview of what they're doing and what their issues are, what their program directions are, just a basic kind of education for us on what's going on, and also just to listen to what you think we ought to be looking at in the future, what ideas you have for improving the programs or productivity of that. So tonight was started out to be a short night, so the town manager, we said, who can we call on short notice?
I told him he needed 2 hours though.
He graciously volunteered that you all would be here and had nothing better to do, so if you would, this is sort of open format for you to tell us what you think we ought to be knowing and updated on,
So, great. First of all, I'd like to introduce, as you all know, the management team. I've actually been director for about 12 years now. I've been on the town for 34 years. To my left, Stevie Swimer, who's in second command. He's been here 33 years. Jimmy Gibbons, who's the rookie right now, but he's doing a really good job as the operation manager of the water and sewer. He's been here 31 years. And Pete, believe it or not, has been on the buildings, and it's been here for 25 years.
I'm junior.
He's
yeah.
junior.
Good thing we have at least one young person doing this.
Someone who couldn't make it was Leanne McGann, who's the business administration, has 13 years. So very fortunate. To
And
be
you
here.
have Jim behind you.
Oh, Jimmy, sorry, stay on Jimmy. Jimmy, how many years? Jimmy, how many years you got? 30, so. I was gonna, now that, with all that, with Jimmy here, Jimmy, come on. We have well over 160 years of experience on the town of Winchester. I'm very proud of that for many reasons. Being the Public Works Director, and being made in charge of all the infrastructure, all the roads, the sidewalks, all the buildings. It's a very difficult task over the years when you had.
Let me interrupt before I completely forget, but in this last week, I've had more comments. I hope you don't get another opportunity this year, but I've had more comments from residents who are very pleased with the snow and ice clearance after this last storm. So people, now whether you made a special event to spend out all of the budget money, I'm not sure, but
did it
people
one night.
did all night. But I would say that people were very complimentary.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll talk a
So
little bit about it.
before I forget that, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to all of you.
Like I said, it takes a great team to run a public works, and I'm very lucky as director to have this staff here tonight with me. What I'd like to do is talk about each department, because we really have 8 different budgets in many divisions. Good example, Steve Swan is in charge of the highway department, the park department, the transfer, the cemetery, the garage, and he oversees, like I said, he's second command. Jimmy's, as you know, the manager of the cemetery. Jimmy Gibbons is in charge of the water and sewer department. And Pete, as you know, is in charge of 1.3 million square footage of buildings. You know, it's difficult, like I said, difficult task. When I first got here in 1983, just in the highway, the maintenance area, in the water end, there was 83 employees, not counting the custodians. Now, today, at 2017, we have a total of 65 employees, and that's with the custodians. So what we do is, it's a task and it's a team effort. I feel that Winchester has grown, as we all know, many areas. School buildings, as we know, we'll be looking in the future for more classroom space. With all that, we have more children ever playing sports. We have more cars driving around the roads. We have more bigger houses being built that affect the water and sewer division. But the department have gone down in numbers. But what we did is unique. And the first thing we had to do was try to find unique ways to cut the budget and save costs and still try to give the community a great service. And I think we've done that. One of the things, and having Jimmy up at the cemetery, he's been the leader through attrition when there was going to be budget cuts. We ended up taking that department and moving them over the highway and water so people wouldn't lose their jobs. No one lost their jobs. But what we did is be able to take that 75 acres and we maintain it privately with a private contractor where you don't have to pay the prevailing wages, strictly on the maintenance. So there's a big savings there. And we offset that with our employees when there's a burial where we have to take the water or all the highway guys, and Jimmy would get a team of 4 employees when there's a burial, you know, when there's any maintenance. So I think that was a huge compliment on all of us to do that. I get calls all the time from other communities, and you know, with negotiations, how do you pull that off, and working with the union, it's been incredible. Speaking of that, our union employees, the employees that we have that work for us and our PTs, the 65 employees, like I said, has done a fantastic job. Snow and ice budget, last year we only had 31 inches of snow, 12 events. This year we've had 62 inches of snow and 24 events. So pretty much you're going to hear tonight that the snow and ice budget's over the, so we are asking for money, Mr. Chairman, even though you didn't want me to. So.
This isn't the FinCom. We'll wait for the FinCom meeting for that.
But it was money well spent. Our employees at the town Public Works, we We do it with less contractors than the other community because most of our employees take a lot of pride in their job. They come in for every storm. They spend long hours where, you know, you start at 7 a.m. coming in for a snowstorm and you could go 24 hours straight. It's unheard of in any type of industry, but our employees do that. They do it with pride. They do it because they like their job and they do a great job. So we're very lucky to have that. And like I said, we're about 134% spent, and that's not counting for that last storm we had, 314. So, like I said, the deficit is about 134,000. What I'd like to do at this point is give every manager a little opportunity to talk about what they do. As the fiscal budget starts in July, when we go through the process, we're always looking for that new money. Richard's always trying to save, and give money back. We try to do that, but we also have an infrastructure that needs repair, and we need money to improve it. This past year, we've done a lot of projects, our road projects, and I'll let Stevie, what I'm gonna do now is let Stevie talk about it. As I just told you, he's in charge of the roads, sidewalks, all the parks, the garage, the cemetery, and the transfer station. So Stevie, why don't you just talk about the road program if you can?
Yeah, so this past year to date, we've probably done about 10,000 feet of road times, 25 wide, about 20,000 yards of hot top. We have 4 roads to go in the spring: Calumet, Middlesex, and Yale Street. Those will be about 6,000 feet of road. That'll finish up the roads for this year. We've installed 21 ADA ramps. We're set to do some more sidewalks on Highland Ave and Wildwood Street in the spring.
So that's for the road project, and what we have left out of the Chapter 90 money, we got about 527,000. We have about 200,000 left, plus we have 200,000 of capital money, which is a great thing to have. We're lucky in Winchester when we passed that override that we had the road and sidewalk program, which supplements the 500,000. Believe it or not, we could spend well over 1.5 million on an average, but we know that's hard to do, and we do what we can. We also offset with the Chapter 90 money many other projects that will come up. The bridge project down on Main Street. There's a lot of projects that we're going to need support on for hiring consultants or engineering, and we usually take that. You can use Chapter 90 for many things, and we have in the past. The problem with that is it does affect the road program. Good example, we just did the survey. We have well over 20 streets that could be done right now if we had the money in fiscal 18 starting in July. We usually average around 6 or 7 streets per year. Things that have changed with the road program is now that every street you do, you have to do handicap ramps by state code. So that, each ramp itself is well between $2,000 and $3,000 just for one ramp. So you can eat up the money pretty quick.
Somebody asked me the other day what percentage of our intersections or sidewalk intersections were ramped. I said a good number, but I didn't have the number.
Yeah, I don't have that
50,
number.
20, 50, we don't have
Yeah,
that count.
I think it's less than 50%.
Less than 50%.
Yeah,
So
we're
still-
working on it
still
now.
ways to go, yeah.
Still ways to go.
Okay.
But that's something we have to do on an everyday basis. So the next thing is what Stevie's department's going to do, and he did a fantastic job. Today was the first day of spring, believe it or not. One thing, having that synthetic field on Manchester Field, we were able to, Stevie sent the crew over and they used the snow blowers. We freed all the snow from the synthetic, and Varsity Lacrosse was over there playing today, I think, right, Stevie?
Yes.
So teams got out the first day of spring, which is a huge success for, the town to have that field, because usually they'd have to go in the gym and they get like an hour, and it's hard to do baseball tryouts in the gym, right, Stevie, or softball,
Yeah.
and where you're trying to make a team and you really, can't really, see the kids doing a good job. So what happens next with Stevie? You talk a little bit about the fields, so what you'll be doing?
Yeah, as soon as the weather breaks, we'll start working on the fields, getting ready for lacrosse, baseball, diamonds, softball diamonds, start cleaning up all the courts, all the parks, field, all the public spaces, we'll start hitting them.
Can you talk about a couple of special projects you're doing, a sod project that comes out of the revolver account?
Yeah,
natural grass?
we're actually doing a couple infields over the west side over out of the natural grass fund. We're also doing some work on the turf field out of the turf account. We're installing some more protective fencing for the lacrosse. I think we're doing striping, we're doing dressing the field, adding more rubber to it, cleaning, so that's all comes out of the turf account, the money collected off of fees. That'll be some of the projects we're doing there.
The other thing we do now with the MS4 permit process, we have to sweep the communities twice a year versus once a year. April 1, we'll be hiring a contractor with our own sweeper and sweep, probably 80 miles of road, 30 miles of sidewalk that we maintain during the snow and ice operation. We start that April 1st. We have a sign department, which is part of Stevie. As you know, we've been putting many signs over the past few years. We bought our own sign machine, which saves the town some money. Mike Wise and his crew does a fantastic job. Instead of going out and buying from a vendor, you're always saving tons of money by making the signs. We actually using some of the signs just in case. Kept the ones, you never know if it's gonna change again. That's just a little bit about
You tell him he's got 26 more to do.
Yep.
Okay.
You heard that.
That's why you brought me.
They could be semi-permanent, or they could be temporary versions.
So part of that, Stevie's department also does the trees, he has the tree department under his jurisdiction.
With Jimmy.
With Jimmy. Jimmy's, I made him deputy tree warden for a reason. He's not deputy dog, he's deputy tree warden. Does a great job. As you said in the earlier meeting you had, that we do, what Jim mentioned, in the past few years, we were taking more trees out there than we've been planting. But the past 10 years, we're actually planting more trees than we're taking out. That's a good thing. With Jim's help and the whole board, we're moving in the right direction when it comes to trees. We do have that fund, which is great, but we also have our own fund through the DPW, which is still going strong. And Jimmy's getting ready to plant probably 10, 15 trees this spring. Good example, we're gonna have well over 250 trees planted at the high school this September, October, probably a year from now, because they'll on. So we're gonna have a lot of trees, which is a good thing. I think one thing beautiful about Winchester is having all these trees on the streets. It's pretty when fall comes around. So talking about Jimmy, you talked to Jimmy, he kind of talked about all the process that he's doing. You have a couple of things you were going to talk about, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, we're working on that Willow Ave expansion. That's something that we have doing in the spring here. Also, of course, the annual Memorial Day cleanup starts. We get the contractor into the spring cleanup. Working all the stuff in the winter months, all the sunken graves, all the humus seeding. We get all our islands ready. They have 12 islands. You got to mulch and edge and plant new flowers in. And then we fire up the water to sprinkle the irrigation system and get all that worked out. Sometimes it's 2 leaks, sometimes it's 10 leaks. From the winter months, we do blow out and stuff. It's an older system that we kind of keep on top of with this little leaks and stuff, you know what I mean? So Memorial Day is the biggest time of the year, this time of year. We're looking also, so far this year, we've done about 60 burials in-house. We've done about 24 cremation burials in 8 months. So that's something we do in-house with staff, with help from the DPW, the water department, the highway. Sometimes the transfer station come in. We all work together on doing all the burials. We brought a lot of monies. We probably brought about $250,000 in 8 months so far this year in revenue into the cemetery, from lot sales, from the niche wall that's been taken off. So we do a lot of that. I'm also waiting to get approval from the town meeting for the $20,000 tree program. Hope to get a lot of my trees pruned and taken care of, and looking forward to all those types of improvements. So it's about basically what we're doing so far. It's good.
Jimmy, Jay, is that well water for irrigation up there?
No, we only have a small area that we water. The front area, and there's certain areas that we have town water, all the spigots around it is town water. Yeah. So the next is Jimmy Gibbons. Okay, sorry.
Robert, a couple of years ago, you were in the process of systematically computerizing scanning and computerizing all of the records, because you said it was kind of all in
in-house, yep.
file
Scanning
cards.
all the new records, the new burials, it's all going in a new system, called computer Smith, Stone, bus computer scanning. If they're online, you can access them, look up burial names, owner names, and locations of burials.
Okay, is that the new stuff, or you said you were gonna go back and do the old stuff too? Is that
Yeah, I recently updated all the maps,
Okay.
the master map with all my new areas, and
Yeah.
we did a new scan the last 2 months, and they redid it in the system to go look at it. I'm working with the company now and fine tuning a lot of those areas, but we can see almost everything. They've actually even got a navigator put in from the front entrance to a lot, if you're looking for one.
Okay.
They'll navigate you through the cemetery with a little road map, which is nice. We're able to print stuff off that. So that's come a long way.
Okay, that was pretty
Failed to
good.
mention also, we just recently hired a new secretary over there, and the old one actually came over here to town hall, my old secretary Laurie, and the new secretary Jean McNeil, who's in there now, and she's been learning to talk through Laurie on how to do all that new computer stuff. When I do a lot sale, we develop new lot cards for people who buy lots, people who bury lots, keep track of all that stuff. We're very lucky with the records, we have excellent records, and a big step was to computerize a lot of that.
Okay, that sounds good, thanks. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good, sorry. So next is Jimmy Gibbons. We got some good news. He's been very busy getting phone calls with all the 240 letters of the potential lead necks and lead services. So I'm gonna have Jimmy do a little.
We'll start out, Jay, with the year-to-date spending
Yep,
at 70%,
yep.
which is good. The revenue receipts are at 90% budget. Now we come to what Jay was speaking about, which was the money we borrowed from the MWRA to lead necks, lead services. Of the 243 letters that went out February 17th, I've received 71 calls. We've inspected 27 houses. 4 have lead services, 2 have galvanized steel, so they have to come out. So that leaves 21 houses out of the 27 lead-free. So 6 of them out of the 27. Now, we need to get in the rest of these houses first. I'm still taking calls as they come. But as I take the calls, we're getting into the houses and finding a lot of them are copper and not lead. Good, and you know, it's.
I think it's good news.
It is good
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
That's what we were hoping for in the long run anyway. Whether we can use the money towards the lead necks more, if we don't get, you know, we've got about a third of the calls, right? 80 would put us at a third of the 240. Hopefully, we get some more calls on it.
I'll interrupt you. One of the people we were talking with the other day, Donna Palato, who chaired our town council
Yeah.
selection committee, she apparently put in and called you guys, and she was really pleased with it. I don't know whether she's determined what she has, but she was really pleased with the quick response and the information and the letters you guys put out. She said it was very.
Well, she probably had copper on the
She
inside.
must have talked happy with you.
That's probably what it
So,
was.
you know.
So basically, we're well short of the 50 that we were hoping to do this year.
Well,
no.
calls are still gonna come. I'm still getting calls, so, you know, I don't think we're gonna see, like I said, we've seen 6 out of 27 houses.
Jim, that doesn't mean they don't have a lead neck out in the street.
Right.
Yeah, right,
So we
yeah.
have to do that anyway, so.
Although, in this case, and it is true, in a bunch of them, they don't have the lead
Yeah.
necks. It is
Some
mostly
do.
lead services. They thought were lead services on the premises, which aren't. They're either copper or brass.
So Jimmy, why don't you talk about what your plans?
Yeah, well, it's construction season is starting, which we will continue as a water department to do the lead necks ourselves. We did, what, 55,
Yeah,
60, I
50,
believe, last construction season. We'll clean the catch basins, we'll repair drain manholes, repair catch basins and drain manholes. And what else was I thinking? Okay, right now, and of course, the capital improvement projects, which we have quite a few coming up. The biggest one being the the one that's going on now, the lead neck and lead service. We also have the SCADA system at the plant is going to be redesigned. It's 21 years old. Time for that to, take place. The carbon replacement that will be coming next, I believe in 18, that'll be under 18. And we'll keep up with the meter 1, 2, and 6 infiltration, which we do every year. That'll be finish up the west side and start the east side high. And now you have the new EPA MS4 stormwater permit, which is, we all know down the road, where that's gonna bring us.
And that's $135,000.
Well, that's 135 for the first year. Where it goes from there, we all know that's gonna be.
Depends on the permit, what we find out.
Right. And we are working on the Stoll Road groundwater investigation with, over there with the neighbors.
Great.
And that's basically about it. But so far, so good on this.
Good news, good news.
Good news on the lead services.
So, next one is Pete Lawson. He, like I say, is in charge of 1.3 million square footage. The big thing is, the biggest asset, in my opinion, that's ever hit this town is the high school, which is, we all know, $130 million, even more. We have some good news. The facility manager was his first day today, and I'm gonna have Pete talk about what's going on in the high school. By the way, all of us here went through Winchester High, if that means anything to you guys. All of us graduated. Tonight's the test.
Good question, David.
We could get diploma.
Maybe they just walked through, Dave. I think that's what.
Where was it then?
That's a good test. All right, Pete, so.
But I went through it when it was.
Yeah,
it was
a bunch of
falling- it was
us. More
falling
people at
apart.
this, yeah, a lot of people at this table went.
So I'm gonna try and keep on script so I don't go off on a lot of my stuff I'd like to speak about.
Yeah, I told him to
So,
reel
just, he told me to keep it short. But our building staff, I'll just give you an overview. We have a shop in the actual building maintenance staff of 4 skilled craftsmen and 1 daily supervisor who has a master's plumber license. We service the 1.3 million square feet. 825,000 of that approximately is in our 7 active schools. We have a total of 16 major assets and about 25 total assets that we serve. We are in charge of the 27 school custodians and the 1 town hall custodian. All payroll, record-keeping, personnel issues go through us in our shop. The responsibility of the repair to the town's decorative lights is in our division. We support a lot of the capital projects that need massaging. We do many, many other things to assist the town, just as any other division does in the town. I have a quick blurb from Leanne on where we stand on our energy budget. We're at 71% on our energy budget. Some of that is still money encumbered for fuel oil. If we do have a reasonable end to winter, we're in good shape. The high school electricity is at 58% spent. That's spent, much improved from last year. The new high school project is going well, and our new facilities coordinator has started. Today was his first day. We spent a lot of time together. He's really proved to have a good grasp of the technology we own. Very comfortable, very confident in him. So more to come with that, and if you have any questions on it. Our maintenance management software, our work order system, we've been growing with it for the last 2 years. In 1 calendar year, from March to March, we have 600 requests in our department alone that we've fielded and closed out. That doesn't include a lot of the other stuff that we just do. So that's pretty significant for the team that we have. We have a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter, HVAC mechanic. That's with those guys and using the rest of the staff to assist. We're still working on that, trying to channel more of the requests through that system.
and working on all the building's equipments, putting them into automatic generating work orders in our calendar system in there. I obtained a $10,000 grant from Maya, our insurance provider, to survey the high school equipment and go through all of the equipment, get the PM schedules required for that equipment, and install them with detailed blurbs in the work order system for belts, filter sizes, just things like that. So they're in the process of that now. They finished the survey and they're almost done installing that into our work order system. So that'll be a big plus with the high school. We are in the second and final phase of the facilities condition assessment. When that's done, we want to really work on melding these two databases together for better forecasting and capital planning. Right now, going forward in the spring, we're into the full get ready for changeover from heating to cooling, going through all of our HVAC systems along with fielding our standard requests. That's the big push right now at this time. Twice a year at the changeover from cooling to heating and then heating to cooling. We also bring in our EMS people, and we pay for a service to go through each of our building EMSs to update and go through all of the software for any issues that pop up. So that's all ongoing right now. We have a couple of capital projects that are getting off the ground. We have a ceiling replacement in the McCall Gym that was built with a standard acoustical ceiling tiles with clips to hold them in place. But the problem is that balls hit and break the tiles. The tiles don't leave until they're broken, and then they become a hazard. It's been a bad condition. We're moving forward with that. We're trying to incorporate a lighting efficiency project into that through our arm of the utilities. So that's the final piece we're working on with that. We're getting ready to go out to bid on the demolition and salvaging of the architectural features of the wall at the old stable buildings at the DPW, so we can try to utilize some of that space down there and still protect some of the concerns of the historical people. That'll be going out to bid pretty soon. We have two other projects in the pipeline. One is the fire alarm at Morocco, which is severely deficient. And then the last one was, sorry, I went off the rail on that. Then we have about 6,000 square feet of roof to replace down at DPW between the building maintenance shop and the old parks department. We have several energy projects at various stages. Some are actually starting, and then many are being developed. We have a lighting project up at the Ambrose, which is controls and change of lighting. We're doing all of the lights in the bay at the main fire station. They're actually relocating them from over the top of the equipment, because right now they're over the top of the equipment. When they broadcast, they don't give good light. So in this project, they're moving them and going to LED lights. So in that, we have several others in the pipeline.
Good job. Any questions? So a couple other capital projects, we're gonna get, oh, I'm sorry.
What's the ages of Lynch and Morocco?
Lynch opened in 1961. Morocco.
69. Morocco moves
67.
67.
Lynch was 61 and opened.
Okay.
Yeah. And Morocco was 67.
Would those be least inefficient energy-wise?
So the Lynch School is really showing its age. The issue with that is it's got quarter-inch plate glass window walls.
Single pane?
Single pane, steel frame,
Yeah.
and just massive amounts of it. So that's where that building bleeds out energy. Back in 2004, one of our first projects dealing with the Energy Committee was that we had did a project there to install the EMS, our standardized EMS system that we use. We put it onto that building, so the existing hot water system still has the old unit ventilators, but it's all on our EMS and runs pretty efficient, but our heat loss is through the walls, through the window walls there.
Yeah, I can imagine. I saw the resume that the guy that you're hiring for the facilities, what a great background, lucky to have.
What a find.
Yeah, have him come on board. And so we're still getting cream electricity-wise for this year because of the modulars.
We'll have the modulars through the end of the school year, and then they go away.
Right.
And we're in the building by itself, and we'll see whether or not our, we have an elevated energy budget because of that additional electricity usage, because you have the modulars and the construction program is going on, and there's a full-blown high school program there as well. We'll need a full year to figure it out.
We'd like to have 3 years of data
Yeah.
to really get a good average.
To get a good average.
With all the unknowns at the high school.
The expectation is, I'm sorry, that we'll be above where we were, because that building will be more active, it's higher intensity electronic usage. A lot of it will be wireless, so that'll be more of a good thing going forward, as far as computer usage, but it's gonna take that year to 3 that Jay has mentioned, where we'll know where we stand with our need for electricity.
I know electricity right now is at 58%, which is a lot lower than it was last year.
Right.
Good thing was it's been a warm winter also.
And everybody had done what they said they were going to
Right.
do, which was chip in,
Yeah.
make sure lights were off,
Yeah.
make sure thermostats were set at the right points, and that, so not only, Jay's team and Pete especially deserve the credit there, but, we'll give some credit to the project team as well. I think the Skanska folks have done what they said they would do.
They stopped curing concrete with electric.
Yeah.
Right.
Going forward, there will still be, in that first, during the commissioning phase, a lot of the stuff will still, equipment will purge for 24 hours. So in this summer, that will be happening with some of the equipment too. That keeps things a little bit elevated in cost, but like Jay said, after 3 years, we'll have good data on it, but we'll be trimming all along.
We're still carrying a fair amount of money in our budget for environmental remediation. I understand that's due to ongoing testing.
McCall.
Is that?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, is there some way we could get rid of that?
So I'd have to find out exactly where we stand in that whole process. So over at McCall, if you're aware of what had happened, was way back a number of years ago, prior to my time here, there was a leaking oil tank in the ground. That was removed, but not everything was cleaned out, and that's been a monitor site. There was a new double-walled tank went in there, and this has been a ongoing maintenance, testing, and monitoring fee that just this past year, our consultant has started approaching, trying to do closeout documents. And I think it's near done. We're just waiting to get the
I think we're out from under that one.
I think we are.
Yeah.
We still owe the transfer station filing, but I think we're out from
We
under
are.
McCall.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be reducing by maybe $20,000 the carrying cost for the
Yeah.
environmental
You could put that in the DPW budget view.
exactly.
We'll put it right back in your budget and you can use it.
So, a couple other things then, have to tell you, your capital maintenance project that, you chaired to get going, I have to say it was a big success.
you guys suspend it all?
It's a big success, and Pete, you can talk a little bit about, I'll just talk about the monster truck, truck 2. Finally went out and plowed snow this winter. I have to tell you that staff really liked it. It was really a big makeover. As you know, we got a truck in here that's gonna cost $185,000 for a brand new one. This truck that we did over through your capital maintenance project, we had to spend probably about $35,000. We bought a used cab. They did a whole frame undercarriage over, and the employee staff really like it. So that project really worked, and that was the next truck in tier, which now we can when we buy this truck, we can skip a couple of years and that, so I have to commend you and doing that. And Pete, when you talk about the projects we're doing this year, we just met with Capital tonight before we got here. You want to talk a little bit?
So, yes, and that's been a wonderful help.
Yeah.
If, going back to last year, what we accomplished in the buildings was that we had done these staircases around here, we were able to treat, we were able to deal with some cleaning up and dealing with some structural steel rusting up at the Ambrose School. Our next request out of this money was some little bit of refurbishment to the Mystic school heating system. That is something in the big capital number, but without a clear definition of what Mystic is, I don't know how long before we develop a real plan to replace that old heating system, because it will be exorbitant. That's an old steam system going back from when it was built in the 20s. So it is a maintenance concern, but this will buy us some more time. Town Hall out back, if you've noticed the two metal staircases that are peeling, we have a plan to refurbish those this year with that. McCall, there's the nosings on many of the stairs and the staircases, the rubber treads are starting to break away, so we've got some money. If you walk through McCall, I think the worst place that you see when you visually walk through are the stairwells. They get abused, so we got some money to do some treads and some painting in the worst areas of the McCall to move forward with. And up at Ambrose, some of the bases of the front columns were one of the issues that we wanted to deal with. The salts over the years had just eaten away at the cementitious stones at the base. We're gonna, it's not structural, they're just a facing, so we're gonna replace those with something more impervious to the salt. And we've gotten away from our heavier salts to something a little more cement friendly. There's nothing totally concrete friendly, but we're trying to reduce that as much as possible.
We also, ended with this. One of the trailers over the transfer station, to buy brand new ones, between 70 and 75,000. We got 30,000 tonight. The floor, it's 10 years old, and if we repair the floor and the walls, we can get another 10 years without buying one. In-house, the mechanics, by the way, who do a fantastic job. We have well over 115 pieces of equipment. And that's counting the police department, all the cruisers. They spend probably about 30 hours a month just on the police cruisers. And like I said, when the trucks, that last storm was heavy, wet, snow, there's not a vehicle made in mankind to really, handle a storm like that. There was a few breakdowns, and they really stepped up the garage. We're very lucky to have. We used to have 6 employees in there, now we're down to 3, so kudos to them. So not bad for a bunch of Winchester guys. What do you think?
So do questions that we haven't answered? So I guess the sort of, I think the cost effectiveness of what you guys have done is really quite good. And I think we've had a couple discussions over the last 3 years about get the VFA inspections will come in and the facility do the work order things and begin to integrate those. I think, I'm guessing that one of the big opportunities in there is to really mine that data for the maintenance and better capital planning. I think that would be very well. Yeah. One of the where you go in the next step. One of the things that was showing up in the discussions with the EverSource project is relatively limited data on the actual location of a lot of our water and sewer lines, and I'm wondering if, I don't know how much benefit there is in it, but my engineering friends tell me they've got lots of tools out there, not only for, inspecting, video inspection, running through the tubes, but for actually using that technology to map the location.
Yeah, we actually contacted
I don't know whether
Weston Sampson to
that
do
buys
that.
us a lot of savings or not, but it's kind of basically using information to really,
MS4 is pushing
in that
direction,
It, the accuracy saves time.
Yeah, saves a lot of
If
time.
one of the things you talk about technology, and I'm sorry I forgot about that. One of the things we tested it, one of our supervisors, Mike Wise, just got his drone license.
Oh,
So
okay.
when we did snow removal the other night, he came out, and we're thinking about getting a drone for many reasons. We're flying over, fields, we could see all the fields and get pictures of the fields on the maintenance where you would have to walk around and get that. So one of the things we're gonna be looking for is to buy a drone. I wouldn't fly it because I'd probably smash into a house, but it's something.
Well, I'll tell you my son is doing research on
Yeah.
beach erosion for the Scripps Institute out in San Diego, and he's been getting a pilot's license to
Yeah.
do that, to get the data collection. It's very sophisticated stuff.
Yeah.
One of the problems you're gonna watch out for is hawks.
Yeah, yeah.
They apparently like the drones, and they come down and they go bang, and that's the end of your drone, so.
I'd be more worried about Mike Wise.
Mike Wise.
Pilot.
That would be, yeah, I
He's
mean,
going to get
that's-
his license. I really believe, a good example with all the heavy snow, you can actually fly the
You'll see
drone
that.
over the roofs
Hmm.
instead of checking them. So that's one technology
Yeah.
we're looking at. The other thing we're doing, through Mass DOT, we just signed up, our new employees, to do, it's kind of like not a police academy, but it's more of a DPW academy. It's run by UMass Amherst and Mass DOT. We're sending 4 employees. They recommend starting out with employees that have less than 4 years, and they go through A to Z. It's a 10-week course. They'll go once a week. We're starting that process. I think that's a good thing. And there'll be OSHA trained, flag certification. They'll learn about how to build roads, and I think it's a great program. It's a pilot program. We decided to get involved in it. It's only 20 candidates, and we got 4 in, so.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'm guessing that from what Richard tells us, we're not gonna be able to hire back to the original 1980s level, so that, but I think that using the technology, the drones for survey work, anything in that area,
Yeah.
really keeps,
Yeah,
keeps
one of the things we have too, we
more
have tablets.
productive.
Every
Yeah.
supervisor now has tablets where they can take pictures. We're really working with Pete. We started with Pete's department. The servicemen go out and take pictures. They can actually send it to the vendor, and instead of going back making phone calls, they can send it to the vendor and they can get the part. All the supervisors have it in their trucks, so now they're getting data, taking pictures, and send it back to us and put it in for information. So
Our work order system too works out well on the tablet.
Jay, just thinking ahead, you mentioned the fact that some of the Chapter 90 monies got diverted in the past so that you weren't able to apply it to the streets.
Correct.
So I suspect you're lagging a little bit behind
Yeah.
in catching up. What would it take, if we had a capital override for streets, what would it take?
I would say double what we get now. It's like 350, so we'd be doubling that. Going to like 650, 600,
And that would
700.
take how long to catch up?
I haven't done that type of data yet, but, it would substantially move things up. It depends on what's going on in the community. As you know, we have all these emergencies that come up, right? Traffic lights, for instance. Good example, I'm sorry, to talk about that. We're going out to bid on Main and Swanton, because of over 50,000, we had to go out to bid. So we're going out to bid in the next 2 weeks, by the way, I'm sorry. So part of that, we get these projects that pop up, and, we're always looking for money. I always say to the capital, Chapter 9, the DPW offsets some of the costs sometimes, and, so, Chapter 90 needs to go up. We need to spend probably about 1.5 million a year to try to catch up on a yearly basis.
What was that, the additional funds that the state,
Complete streets.
Complete streets.
Yeah, by the way, I was gonna say that for Beth, but, she's coming, but we are going out
Does
to.
that help you, like, with the?
Yeah, that helps out.
With the catch-up?
Yeah, that's helping us on Forest and Brookside. We're
Right.
doing some traffic calm in there. Doesn't help with the paving, because we're gonna be using that
Right.
paving. We're gonna be doing new, lights that are being, protector lights, so people will slow down. So, yes, to answer your question, so that was a great
Catches some
program, catches us
sidewalks,
up,
yeah.
yeah. We'll be looking at
Also-
Johnson
we
Ridge.
also,
Sidewalk lights.
Well,
Yep.
they also picked up the,
Flash.
what was it, Safe Routes to Schools?
Schools, yeah, they were
up there
probably a
for-
couple of years
for
away.
For VO, but that
Maybe,
was
you know,
$1 million, $2 million,
going
something that you guys,
1.2.
1.2 million.
Yeah.
For temporary lights this spring, I think.
So,
I I just wanna say, you know, I think you guys do a great job.
Absolutely. Here, here.
Couldn't be prouder of, I think, you know, as a board, we're proud of everything you guys have done for the town for so many years. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I would encourage, I mean, you know, when started the discussion a couple of years ago on the VFA and the work order stuff and maintenance, you know, I went out expecting to see a lot of paper files and cards and stuff like that, you know. They bring me, well, I'll dial into the network and I'm gonna pull up the the pads and types thing. I'm sitting there saying, well, it's just, you know, it's really quite impressive what you guys have done. And I see better use of information as one of the few levers we're gonna have to kind of keep the level of service up. So if you see stuff out there where you see ideas that we ought to prime the pump on, or grants where we could,
Yeah.
I mean, do the training stuff, I would encourage, we probably won't be aware of it and know it, but if you see it, then you ought to grab it, because we've been, the energy and a lot of the other groups have been very effective at pulling stuff in, and if you see
Really
stuff like that,
helped
let
us,
us know. We should be, you
It's
know.
helped us communicate with the public too,
Yeah.
through that, you know, we can get back to people through that. It works out well.
Norman Doucette, by the way, has done multiple grants. He's got a grant on box spring matches, where a company will come in and take as long as they're clean and in good shape, for $15, and they reuse them. So that's something new. We'll start in April. We have a shredding twice a year now, so we're doing a lot of good
Pretty
things.
good, yeah, so.
The food waste is going really well, and we have 750 smart people signed up. We're about 600 away from the stickers. I know Selectman Rico hasn't got a sticker yet.
He's gonna buy two, so that's all right.
Norman does a great job.
Yeah.
He really does.
Once the policeman stands at the gate.
That's coming Saturday.
Just saying, I gotta go Friday. Okay, other questions, comments from the board? Otherwise, okay.
Same comments as David.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think the public should be very happy with the way this is done.
Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
And I certainly third it. And I'm sure Mike said before.
Richard, you have anything you want to okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I could add to it. I could spend another 10 minutes, 15 minutes on other things that Jay and the team and the whole department helped the town accomplish, but I don't want to keep dragging it on here.
You can.
You know, so it's clear, you know, you've got...
Bill Ryerson might be there.
You have 6 or 7 program areas that have to be taken care of annually, and they're big spheres and centers of responsibility. You're running a water delivery system that a lot of towns do not do, but you're overseeing 3 reservoirs, as well as taking care of the pipes underneath the system, the stormwater. You're running a cemetery, you're running a transfer station, you're taking care of 100 miles of roads and sidewalks, you're taking care of parks, and you're taking care of municipal buildings. It's a big assignment. You're doing it with 60-odd people who get it all done every year. And at the same time, whenever I ask Jay to step up and find resources to be able to take a look at specialty programs like Complete Streets or Green Communities or Eversource or lead removal, you know, things that the state offers us that we want to be able to take advantage of, we never fail to step up, put a team together, devote some time and effort above and beyond all the day-to-day stuff that has to get done to try to make something extra happen. So, you know, one small example that I'll leave you with, Eversource, as we know, is proposing to put transmission lines through the town. So that's a big thing that everybody's been working on in very many ways, whether it's been legal and or engineering and kind of DPW oriented. But a small thing that comes up that people never see is 3 weeks ago I had a call Jay that Jim ended up watching and participating in, that Eversource had to move a transformer that was taking up the entire street. They were doing it overnight, so many people never even knew what happened, moving it from Everett through Malden, through Melrose, through Medford, and eventually up through Stoneham in the middle of the night. We had to make sure that they had a route that they could come through Winchester on that was gonna be safe, take care of trees, wires that might be in the way. So those, those are the kinds of things in addition, that the department is called upon to deliver, together with everything else that gets done on a daily basis.
I think you also delivered very coherent testimony at the.
He did do a good job at the
I actually want to get on that.
facility. Yeah.
Great board to be on. Rich can help me out with it.
Right, you're right near the food court there.
Yeah. But I have to say, and again, I'm the luckiest director in the state of Massachusetts. I have 65 wonderful employees who are dedicated and work hard for this community. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you. You get all that, Patty, what they said?
Oh, absolutely.
And before your heads get any further, so you
Yeah.
can't get out of the door and let you go.
And he'll be back next week to ask for more money. Okay, I think all we then have, thank you all. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. All right.
Consent agenda is a supplement to that.
I'm gonna find the supplement here. Okay. All right, consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, I move that we issue a one-day alcoholic beverage license to the following. Vicky Lee Voyagen for April 29th, 2017 at the Griffin Museum. To Mike Bodell at the Griffin Museum for March 24th, 2017. For Gail Freeman for Studio on the Common, April 6th, 2017. And for Lucia Bellotti for Rubini Art Studio, March 31st, 2017.
Okay, are there any exceptions? Otherwise, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
Then, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the installation of blue filters on streetlights around town in conjunction with the autism awareness activities from April 2nd to April 30th. And the approval to use the Town Hall's auditorium on Thursday, April 6th to recognize the start of Autism Awareness Month.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye, and finally, move that we approve a staging permit for installation of a sign at 22 Church Street for Studio on the Common.
Seconded. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Any other business we need to?
I think you're done.
It's done? Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Okay, so moved, and all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thanks.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I
Yeah.
don't,